Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome to this video. Today we are going to be doing the part 3 and final part of season 1 episode 8 Elysian Drift of the Rabbits podcast. Hope everyone's enjoying the videos so far. I'm enjoying doing them and sharing. And I do encourage people to go to wherever they listen to podcasts or get podcasts from, or go to the Rabbits homepage and listen to these. Binge them if you want to, one episode a day or whatever, but listen to them without my commentary and without my talking and pausing and all that to get the full experience. So, with that being said, let's get into it.
What do you know about that?
Yeah, I wonder, what did she think about it?
She never saw it.
What do you mean?
She was gone before you had that guy drop it off.
Oh, that's too bad.
Why was it important that Yumiko see that?
Nothing is important. Is it, Jones?
Is that supposed to be some sort of cryptic wisdom?
What do you think?
Why did you send that logic board to Yumiko?
The comment of nothing is important from our billionaire to Jones is kind of cryptic, and it's kind of alluding to something. In the last episode I kind of dropped a spoiler. You may or may have picked it up, but I threw that in just to see. I talked over the video playing, or the audio playing I should say. So this, I think this is hedging to where we're eventually going to go where I dropped the spoiler in the last episode, or in the last part 2, not the last episode, part 2.
I didn't send it to you, Miko.
No?
No, I sent it to an address.
The gym.
I wasn't given the name of the establishment, only a street address. 6878 Avenue.
Are you playing rabbits? Is that why you sent that logic board? And what about the postcard? And what do you know about Yumiko's disappearance?
Man, you have a lot of questions.
Tell me about rabbits.
What if rabbits is a myth?
Didn't you win version 6?
And that's his answer is kind of interesting and intriguing all at the same time.
I don't know anything about the postcard other than what was written on the back, I'm afraid. I'm not playing a game. But if I was, would I be allowed to tell you?
Kind of cryptic there, huh?
What was on the back of the postcard?
A question.
What question?
How many steps?
You're gonna tell me why you sent these things to my friend.
Carly.
A plane goes down in Brazil, hitting a rally outside of Rio, killing a radical political leader. Markets in London that crash due to a day trading bot scandal. There's a small accident at CERN that results in a series of tiny black holes. A new Stonehenge is discovered in Antarctica. And a woman, dead for 11 years, showed up at work this morning in Portland, Maine, as if nothing happened.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about a world kept from corroding, from dying.
By people playing rabbits?
Maybe.
Maybe not.
I don't think I get it.
What if whoever or whatever had been looking out for us, keeping us on track, just stopped looking, gave up altogether, just decided we weren't worth it anymore?
I don't know. I mean...
Did Jonesy here tell you about your parents?
Yeah, there is some animosity between Jones and our billionaire friend here.
Come on, Carl, let's go.
Wait. What do you know about my parents?
Did you ask her about the dream?
What dream? What are you talking about?
Okay. I'm afraid it's time for you to go.
No, we're not going anywhere until you tell me what I want to know.
Oh, really?
Alan's, he's a billionaire and has probably one hell of a security detail. So, yeah, Carly should probably be watching her step about this point.
So, that was Alan Scarpio, eccentric billionaire and alleged winner of the 6th iteration of Rabbits. Things got a bit heated at the end. Jones tried to lead us out, but I wouldn't go. I demanded Scarpio keep talking, but he clammed up. He said he wasn't willing to go into any more details unless he and I were alone. If I wanted answers, I was to come back tomorrow by myself, without Jones. We left Alan Scarpio's place, changed our flight, and booked 2 rooms in a motel. What dream?
What?
Scarpio asked me if you told me about the dream yet.
He's a lunatic. I think Alan Scarpio is unhinged.
6878, the address of the gym. It's the same as the passenger pigeon and everything else.
Yes.
Do you think the gym is one of your coincidences that leads to some inflection point?
It could be.
How does this stuff work again?
Okay. Well, remember, this is all just theoretical.
Okay.
And, yeah, there's a big sense of woe between, or bad blood between Jones and Scorpio. So, yeah, it's gonna get interesting. It's hard to talk about because I know what's coming up, to not spoil it for y'all.
Participants play the game, follow clues, follow their instincts. With enough people focusing a specific type of energy on whatever mysterious grid or complex web of math and physics the wardens present, they move toward an adjustment.
A specific type of energy. Like people playing a game?
Well, it looks like a game to us. What would an enormous grid of thought energy directed in certain ways look like in another dimension?
Right. And the coincidences.
Let you know you're on the right path. Continuing to focus all of this thought and energy of discovery on the game will, theoretically, eventually result in affecting an inflection point enough to cause something. A slip.
A correction.
Or adjustment, yes.
6878.
I can't remember right offhand exactly what the importance of that number is, but it does play a fairly significant role. And I believe, but I could be wrong, that it plays an important part in the finale of Season 1.
In this case, the inflection point might have something to do with the number 6878.
Might?
well, numbers or people or places. The math it's never perfectly clear or simple, and it could be too soon to know if we're looking in the correct area.
Of course. Nothing about this thing is clear and simple.
I know it sounds crazy, but I believe the game was created as a way of regulating this dimension.
There has to be an easier, better way than some complex, seemingly random game that relies on random recruits stumbling upon it in a laundromat.
Does there?
And is it necessarily random recruits? Don't know, do we?
What do you mean?
Well, Rabbits appears to involve complex math, physics, chaos theory, strange attractors working toward an end.
An adjustment.
Right. Who's to say that were we able to see the entire tapestry of whatever is operating behind the scenes?
The Warden's secret multidimensional universe adjustment center?
What if we had...
Which brings my that comment about the multidimensional adjustment reminds me of Philip K. Dick's book of the adjustment theory, the adjustment agency, I believe it's called. They made a decent movie out of Leonardo DiCaprio. Doesn't divert too far from the actual story, and that's what that reminds me of. The Adjustment Bureau. That's what the Philip K. Dick story is, I believe. I would have to double check, but it is a short story by Philip K. Dick, and this is kind of woven into this narrative here.
Had the vision to look at the complex system of the Earth and see it the way they do.
Okay.
Would this method of manipulating energy seem all that strange? Maybe not. The complex math required to manipulate the energy involved in, well, let's call them dimensional ribbons, appears in our world as, among other things, a complex alternate reality game. But what if they see it as a simple mathematical formula that's programmed to replicate itself whenever an adjustment is required?
Like a safety mechanism.
Exactly.
Or a virus program on a computer.
Okay, so some alien force is using complex bidimensional energy manipulating dynamics to keep our world on the right path?
By focusing a certain type of energy in a way we can currently only understand through a rough translation. The translation from whatever complex system they use in their dimension into the language of this game.
A certain kind of energy. Like a bunch of players all over the world looking for the same thing.
Yes.
Like, maybe, how many steps to some lighthouse?
Maybe, yes.
How do you know so much about the behind-the-scenes mechanics of the game?
I don't. I mean, not really.
He's kind of just surmising from past experiences. Or maybe he knows more than he's letting on.
It's all theoretical.
So, Rabbits could actually just be a game, rather than some weird interdimensional repair program?
Yes. But there are certain indicators that it's much more.
Like what?
Have you heard of the Berenstain Bears?
No.
How about the Berenstein Bears?
Oh, well, in that case, still no.
Okay, the theory goes like this. There are children's books called the Berenstain Bears. They're very popular.
I'll have to take your word for it.
But most people remember the Berenstain Bears as the Berenstein Bears. I mean, they not only remember, but insist this is the case. The most popular theory is that, at some point in our history, two dimensions or streams of time diverged. Our world somehow hopped tracks, slipped streams into a parallel reality.
That's a little out there.
There's now an alternate reality.
And I don't know how many of the viewers watch the Disney Plus show Loki. But this has a lot of the same Divergence and stuff that show dabbles with and does pretty decent job with. Plus you factor in like the Mandela effect and the multiverse and string theory. I would really love to get Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku to sit down and kind of critique this podcast from a scientific point of view, just to see how much they get right, how much they get wrong, how much they lucked into, and how much that is actually research. I think that would be an interesting critique, but that's just me.
Which is actually our previous reality, or one of our previous realities, where that series of books is still called the Berenstain Bears.
And you believe this?
I don't know, but I find it interesting.
But it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Unless it's not.
What do you mean?
I mean, think about the event that took place at the swimming pool when you were a kid.
My false memory?
Yeah, but you don't believe it's false.
Okay. So what?
So, what if it did really happen?
I don't get it.
See, that's kind of cool and kind of horrifying at the same time, that we may be just simply slipping through different realities as we move forward this way through our lives. We may be going this way, up and down, maybe left to right, through different realities. And that maybe the woman that I'm married to at some point is not the same woman that I married, almost a decade and a half ago. That all these different people in realities that are close enough together, so when you slip, you know that there's little changes, maybe changes in very minor changes in characteristics and attitude, maybe belief system, but you just think that, and in your brain or my brain or all of our brains, we think, well, it's just change, as we get older and stuff, that those changes happen. But the reality could be that you've just slipped through, and yes, you're married to this person, but it's not the same person you married. That can get kind of weird really fast if you put too much thought into it. And it gets really crazy when you start looking at it over multiple generations, multiple relationships, all that. The longer you stretch that timeline out, the weirder it gets.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a few things at you right now, so just bear with me, okay?
Berenstain Bear with you?
That's hilarious.
Couldn't resist.
The research team at the Gatwick Institute, our parents among them, experimented with a lot of things, including drugs, some experimental and unapproved, and a variety of dangerous and complex combinations.
Sounds unlikely, but I'll keep listening.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, well, what if there was something, genetically, that happened to the offspring of those who took part in that research?
Something genetically like what?
I'm not exactly sure, but I'm working on a theory that involves something similar to the game mechanics of rabbits.
Like what?
Like slipping streams, or jumping tracks. Something that also sounds similar, in theory, to the Berenstain Bears.
I jumped tracks, and that's why there's no record of what happened at that swimming pool?
Exactly. Because in this reality, in this dimensional stream, that event didn't happen.
But everything else is the same.
Probably, yes, but I have no idea. I'm part of your new stream.
Okay. So why did my father pretend it didn't happen?
Maybe because for him, it didn't.
I don't understand.
I believe this ability to slip, if it exists, is something that only manifests in the offspring.
So my dad couldn't slip with me?
Right.
You really believe that the offspring of people who took part in the Gatwick Institute studies are capable of some kind of interdimensional slipping?
I don't know. But it's something that I've been looking into for a long time.
You told me that something happened to you. Something similar to my swimming pool memory.
See, that puts more of a finite to the lore of who travels between realities, which is good for the story, but as a thought exercise, and like I said, the longer of a timeline you stretch this out over, the weirder it gets, and then you go account for different people's interpretations of historical facts, literature, all kinds of things. If we're all slipping, all jumping tracks, that could be, really weird. And when you figure out over a long enough timeline, over the course of, say, a 70-year or 75-year lifespan, depending on how often you're jumping or slipping or going from track to track, this can get really weird and really bizarre, and it's just fascinating as a thought exercise.
What happened?
I'm sorry, but I don't feel like I'm ready to talk about that right now, okay?
What happened to quid pro quo?
I was sent away.
What for? What happened?
I burned down the entire town.
And that's kind of spooky in and of itself, to think that the person you've been spending all this time with and playing this game with burned down an entire town.
It's Rabbits. I'm Carly Parker. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. Until next time, stay safe.
Yeah, so we're getting ready. This is the final part of Elysian Drift. We'll be getting into episode 9, which I can't recall off the top of my head. But until next time, everybody out there, peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?